To do. That's right.
So, with that being said, these are my precious uncle and aunt.
Yes.
Uncle Leroy and Aunt Barbara. And this is my mom's brother. He's last man standing in the family. And this is his beautiful wife. And you all have been wed for how long?
64 years.
64 years.
Blessed years.
Come on now.
Yes.
You ain't lying.
Yes. Yes.
Because you can be together.
Yes.
That is so true. You could be 60. You know, when people say they've been married 50 years, 64 years, that don't impress me. Because I need to know which bedroom you sleeping in when the doors are closed. You know, one person sleep up there, another person down there. That don't tell me nothing. But when you can sleep in the same room.
That's right.
64 years.
64 years.
And that means something good is going on.
Good.
Right.
Amen.
I've been blessed in many, many ways. As I was saying to my husband before, we've been blessed in the way to be slapped in the face when we didn't follow the rule. Mm-hmm. And many times, if we didn't straighten up after that first slap, he slapped us again. Mm-hmm. And I've been blessed with those slappings because that's brought me here these almost 85 years. And with my husband, it hasn't been easy. Mm-hmm. We've had ups and downs and all around, you know. But the rule is patience and tolerance of each other. And we know that we love each other even though we get angry.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But fortunately, when he's angry, I'm good. And when I'm angry, he don't say nothing. You know, so
well, you know that you learned that lesson. That's a good lesson that you learned. Sometimes to zip it.
Right. But you know that is a good point because we've been angry sometimes, and knowing how to de-escalate is key. If you've been around 64 years, it'll be how many years for us tomorrow?
27 years for us tomorrow.
Okay, not that I didn't know, I was tested.
Yes.
But knowing how to de-escalate is key. And I think we're finding, as I'm sure you two have already found, if we're going to win in this thing, it can't be one winner. Both of us have to win.
That's right.
You know, and so sometimes knowing when to zip it and step away is key.
Yeah, and you couldn't have been married as long as you have been married without one of you knowing when to zip it, because you know in marriage, you know it's not really easy. It's not, you know, it's not always easy. You have to learn to work together and learn to respect each other. And so I want them to hear this, because if they didn't hear, how many children do you have?
I have 5 children, 2 boys and 3 girls. I have 5 grandchildren, 4 boys and 1 girl. And I have 3 great-grands, of which are here. Some of them are here with us tonight. We've been blessed in so many ways. How many can say they can see their great-grandchildren?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wanted to say, for those that didn't hear, that these are the grandparents to the NBA star, Evan Turner. He's retired now in coaching, but these are Evan Turner's grandparents. And of course, my husband is his second cousin because his mom is his first cousin. But we just want to say that on tonight, my uncle's going through some challenges, but I can tell you one thing. Not one time have I seen him down.
Yes.
Not one time have I seen him give up. He's a fighter. I mean, they spoke about their age, 91 and 85. And I've seen God modeled in their life. I've been in the family 27 years, and I've seen them model God. So we asked him, the first question we said to him was, how has your physical challenge challenged your faith, or has it challenged your faith? Your physical challenge.
Well, physical challenges, it would depend on the degree of it, let's put it that way. But a physical challenge is something that you have to deal with. And in your dealings, you must seek God,
The Lord.
because from God, all good things flow.
That's so true.
And we are, if we have the faith in our heart, then we will come through on the other side, because it is a plan that God hates to see any death, because this disrupts his family. So I would say, up to a point, yes, being concerned, I am concerned about this particular problem. But if I can get the aid from the sources that I need, then I shall prevail.
That's right. That's right.
You know, one of the things that strikes me, you mentioned, use the term family. And I know a lot of times people feel like they learn about God in church, and they can. But when I think about where I come from, particularly on my mother's side, Big Mama, being a woman of faith, mom to peacemaker, my mother, seeing how cool you have been under fire, how cool you have always been to me under fire, irrespective of what's going on. And I hope you take it pleasantly when I tease you and call you the dude. You know, I forgot the dude's name that made it, but there was a song called The Dude. And this dude, Quincy Jones, dude was cool. But that's Leroy Lilly.
Yes, it is.
In fact, that's Leroy. You know what I'm saying? That's Leroy.
Yes.
And so to learn and see that element of it, knowing that Big Mama's prayers have been answered, even though she's long gone off the scene. That some of Grand's prayers have been answered. Some of my mother's prayers, even though she departed this life by the age of 61, before she turned 61, 6 months into our marriage. But I've learned through what I've seen how evident and how real God is in the family. And I can say he is a very present help in time of trouble.
Yes.
Would you all not agree
I
to that?
agree.
Surely.
Auntie Barbara, because one question I want to ask you too, being married as long as you have, how has seeing his physical challenges, has it affected your faith or not?
Well, his physical challenges have made me know that the Lord is right with us on every night. Because when I say, Lord, help me through these challenges that I've got to face with my husband and myself. By the way, I was suffering with an illness before him. And of course, my husband has got quite a challenge in front of him at this point. And I've asked the Lord to help us, both of us, to face the challenges in front of us that he has put. See, I believe that the good Lord has planned our lives from the beginning.
Yeah.
So he's known what we were going to do. He said that when he sent Christ down to forgive us for those sins and to slap me in my face. But when I say, help me to get through these challenges as you have prepared, I'm able to give myself to him and I go to sleep.
Very good.
I'm not fearful of death. Because I'm 85 and my husband is 91. I'm not feeling that fear that I felt when I had to go to the doctor and have a test of some kind. You know, when you feel that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel that now. Because I know the Lord has planned our lives.
I like that.
In that regard, is it fair to say that for you both, that God is not just God, but that He's a father to you?
He's the Father. Well, I'm thinking about my father, my
Your
live
dad.
father, and how I feel. God is greater than all to me. He was greater than my dad. I love my father. He guided me, gave me the world. But God is the person or the being, let's say being, that's made the world. Right now, we can see what's happening. It's not happening to just the United States. It's not happening, it's all over the world. It's in every part of the world. You know, fires, flooding, shooting, killing, political stuff, everything under the sun that you can imagine right now wrong is happening. So I am believing that the Lord is saying, y'all went too far. You better start listening to me.
But what if somebody were to say to you and how do you know that there is a God? So what if somebody came up to you and said, can you tell me, ma'am? Can you tell me, sir? How do you know that there really is a God? What would you say?
I feel him.
You feel him. So you have that.
You know, when I met my husband and I brought him home to my mother, my mother told him, now when you go to church with Barbara, she may shout in church because in some religions that's embarrassing.
Yeah, right.
But I could feel him. When the minister said something that I could feel it here. That's why I know. I said to you this afternoon, I can think of someone and the phone will ring. Those are not coincidences.
Come on.
I can go to another country and meet my neighbor. That's not a coincidence. But I'm not going to preach. I'm going to let somebody else talk.
So what about you? Sir, can you tell me, how do you know that there is a God?
Well, there's only one true living God. There's only one. And he is the most powerful spirit in this universe, or any universe. He can soothe your actions and your mind. And he and Jesus Christ are the only ones that can bring peace and joy in the morning.
Peace and joy in the morning.
Yes.
God and Jesus Christ. Wow.
And so, my belief is that by seeing the order of the universe, it's kept by him. So the universe is not sprayed all over.
Mhm.
You know.
That's right.
You're
That's
right.
right.
But
You're
you know,
right.
I do know, and I don't want to take away from the question you asked.
Mhm.
But in light of that, in light of what you mentioned, I remember Mom. We were married. We'll be married 27 years tomorrow. So we got married in '94. Is that what it was? Okay.
Mhm.
Before that, I remember before we were even together, Mom was sitting in the kitchen and she's just looking out the back window. And I said, Mom, what are you doing? And she answered my question with a question. She said, what have you learned about squirrels? What does that have to do? I said, well, what are you talking about? She said, what have you learned about squirrels? It was latter part of October or middle of November. She's looking outside. I said, well, she said, well, what do squirrels do around this time? I said, well, they gather nuts and they hibernate. She said, that's what you learned out of your school books, right? I said, yeah. She said, look out the window. And I looked. She said, what did you see? I said, squirrels. They were all over the place. And it let me know that the things we learn as fact have begun to change. The more the world spins out of control, the more sin permeates this world, the closer Jesus is to his return. Mm-hmm. And we're seeing some things change, weather patterns. The thing that's popping off in so many people now, to me, when people were quarantining, the stuff that was in them was just being repressed. And like a spring, the more you press that thing down, when you release it, man, the more force and higher that thing. I mean, we got the lady who was stabbed in the neck, the beating that took place around high noon in the downtown area in the Loop. And you know, that place is policed.
Everywhere.
But people don't care now.
They don't care now.
The depth of sin in people is such that if you didn't know there was a God, you would believe based on what you see, ain't no God. But we know that is not the case. Because God has been with each and every one of us.
Right.
And so I have a question, if you can answer it. And then we're going to turn to your question.
Oh, that's fine.
Based off, to piggyback off your question. When did knowing that there is a God change for you to knowing that he is your father? And if you, while you're thinking, I was thinking about the question before I asked it. And I can tell you when it changed for me. God was God, and I knew he was God. But when I realized he was my father was when my mother passed. As much as it hurt, and you know, I loved me some Billy. You know, not just because she was my mom, but she was a fascinating person. She was a good person. And as much as it hurt, every time I thought about the fact that she was not here, all I could do was say, Lord, thank you. That out of all the women in the history of the world that you gave me to be my mother, you chose that one to be my mother. So thank you for the 60, well, I didn't have all 60 years with her, but I realized then the depth of his love for me, not just as God, but that he was my father. And I'm sure you probably felt it when Mary Ann passed because of who she was.
That is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And I know she's looking down and she said, oh, I did my job. Yes, she said.
Yes, she did.
I said, thank you,
Oh,
Lord.
but that was so beautiful. She was such a beautiful person. To me, she was a sister.
Yeah, yeah.
And she told me about my husband to help me to understand him. You know, my husband's very quiet for the most part. And when I'd asked a question or when I did something and he didn't respond and he'd look and what have you, the message she gave me in those early years helped us to be where we are now. I don't know if my husband had any inkling other than my mother. But you know, I found out something the other day. I was saying to someone, someone asked me, how did he propose to you? And I said, Oh, he didn't propose to me. I told him I was not going to be with him on a certain holiday, the 4th of July, because my girlfriends and I were going over to Indiana. And he said, no. He said, no. And I said, how dare? I have only known him 6 months, you know. How dare he say no to me, you know. I said, you don't have any papers on me. He said, let's go over to Indiana and get them.
Oh, so would that be one of the ways that you know that God was a father by the man that he gave you? I mean, because you've been married a long time.
And that was as much as I could get as a proposal.
Yeah, but that was a dude move. That's why he's the dude. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I still had to ask her father for her hand.
Now, and I found that out. I didn't know that until the other day.
Well, see, he is the dude. He knows how to handle his business. You know what I'm saying?
He asked my dad instead of asking me.
Wow.
But this has been beautiful. Oh,
yeah. So, Uncle, what would you say? What would you say? When did you realize that God was a father? You know, we know him as God, but how do we know him as a father? Auntie Barbara talked about the fact that he blessed her with you. How did you know?
Well, that goes way back because there has been so much misinformation, and even by design, let's put it that way. And the Bible has been misrepresented for maybe 5 or 6, more than that, because the first Bible was printed in a press, and it was printed in Latin.
Yeah.
So when the Catholics took over religion, they decided that, well, they cut out a whole lot of things that the Jews had put in there, you know what I mean? So they decided to write these Bibles. All right. It took 25 years for them to come up with the Bible. They left, 17 small books out of the Bible, you know what I mean?
Apocrypha.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which wasn't, well, they had some semblance, but as far as the real book that was written by man from God, let's put it that way, then we know that there is truth. And God is light and truth.
One of the things that strikes me, you talked about the misrepresentation of the Bible, of the Word. I know a big one, especially amongst African Americans, is that Christianity is a white man's religion. Now, all you have to do is read the Bible, and it talks about it describes him physically, hair, wool, skin of bronze. But even if you don't believe that, when Herod wanted to kill all the kids 2 years old and younger, and the angel of the Lord came and told him, "Look, Daddy," called Joseph Daddy, "take you and this child over in Egypt and hide until I tell them to come back." Now, as long as I know, Egypt is still in Africa, ain't it? And that was Pan-African, black folks. Well, you don't tell anybody white to go hide in the projects. So he had to be a man of color. So Satan will always do all that he can to try to misrepresent what the Word of God is. If we don't choose to study his Word, then we'll always buy into the narrative and buy into the lie. Because I don't care what other folks say. When you go through your own things, like the challenges you all have had that you're going through, You need God.
You do.
He made all colors.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
White, black, and every other color that's in between.
Mm-hmm.
As long as we are human beings, we are deserving of love and respect. And that's who God made us to be. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
You feel that.
In His image.
You feel that.
That's right.
That's how you know that there is a Father God.
Yeah.
You feel Him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that's it.
There's been
Well, we do
misinterpretation.
feel Him, but we don't fear Him.
Come on.
You don't fear him. Mm-hmm.
And
Well, you know-
and this is the problem,
Mm-hmm.
because fear and faith cannot exist in the same thing. But you can't have them both in there, and you have to serve one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, now,
And
when you say fear the Lord, my husband and I, do you fear something that you love?
no, your fear is greatest fear is to let God down.
Would that fear be the same as reverence? You reverence the Lord?
No, you're supposed to give him his sovereignty. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think it's words.
Mm-hmm.
And no, what I'm saying is that the fear is that you will disappoint God, and He will turn away His face, and that leaves you in a predicament because you and God have split.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple of things that I hear, and I guess it depends on how you use the word fear.
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to fear the Lord, which you were talking about, which is to reverence Him.
Mm-hmm.
You have 5 children, 4 now. There ought to be a healthy amount of fear or respect in that they just don't approach you any old kind of way. But out of fear of reverence and respect and honor, because I'm not afraid of you anymore than I was afraid of my dad or my mother, but there was a healthy fear of respect. Good to know if I got out of pocket, I might get popped in my mouth. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But and I hear what you're saying, and there ought to be a fear of letting him down because of how good he has been. And I remember you and I had a conversation before, and you mentioned that there is not enough fear in the world in terms of respecting and honoring the one who created the world.
Yeah.
You know, we act like this is just our own thing. Forget God if, in fact, we want to believe there is
It's
a
a
God.
God, right?
You know, but we can say without a shadow of a doubt, He's real.
Yes, He is.
He's
Yes,
not
he is.
just a religious icon. He's as real as the invisible air that we know we need to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
He's that. So go ahead, baby.
So then that would lead me to this question. What can you absolutely say that you learned or know about God? What can you absolutely say that you learned or know about God?
That He loved us enough to send His only Son
Come on.
to save us from our sins.
Beautiful.
And that is said in all Bibles, regardless how you interpret it, because most people most religions interpret it to their liking, from what I've learned. There are many Bibles, and there are many religions, and people.
Religion was here before Jesus Christ was here. It's for 600 years before. So the Jews, they were the apple of God's eye, let's put it that way. But from their actions and their messing around and being swayed away from God when he wanted them, you know what I mean? And he did, I would say, everything to draw us back to him.
Well, let me ask you, in light of that, what keeps you from swaying away?
Your spirit. Your spirit.
Mm-hmm.
This is the only thing that you got going. Because God is spirit, you are spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And the laws, well, there's certain laws in the universe, and there's a lot of laws in the Bible. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, in order to travel in the light, you must be on that small road that so many traveling don't be able to enter. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
But God created us, and he also created our salvation. And this salvation is left up to you.
Come on.
Whether you want to accept it or not.
Yeah, no, you have to take it, because in his salvation, God, well, first off, this 1,000 years, whatever it is, when we go into this
Millennial reign.
millennium, what you call it. Well, God gave us the choice, this free will, and it's set before us to choose life or death. You understand? Now, if you choose life, then you are on the path. But your faith must be as such as that it won't be questioned by him. And so you are let's just put it this way. God is he created us and all of the universes. And our job was to populate the universes. So we're just getting at a point now where we can't take a step to do that. So you see how long we've been waiting.
True that. True that.
Well, in your challenge, do you think that this has strengthened your relationship with God, with your challenge that you're going through? Has it strengthened your relationship with God? Would you say you've gotten stronger spiritually?
Probably, but you would have to, if you are doing that which is promised, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And you cannot, how can I put it? Without the correct amount of faith, you can miss salvation. So that was the thing that God left out there. It's still left up to you. So you have to stay on this side, because after the millennium, then comes the second death. And you don't want that.
Well, you're right. Nobody wants second death. It's one thing to depart this body. To be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. That second death is when he says, depart from me. I know you're not.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me ask you, 91, 85, and no matter, irrespective of age, all of us are leaving here.
Yeah.
Some folks never get a chance to see 60, 50, 40, 30. At 91, 85, and I heard you when you said you don't have that fear anymore. Are you all afraid of whenever it comes of death?
Well,
We know that that's the Lord's will.
no, he
If
no,
he said that, you know,
he is not here to scare you.
No. But most people are afraid of death,
Yes.
especially if you don't know him.
What is it? Where's my?
if getting back to fear, I feel that the Lord loves me. So I cannot fear him like a lot of, because my fear is to get away from things that I fear.
And I hear you saying you also have a fear of being separated from him. You don't want separation to occur between you and God.
No, I don't. I know he loves me, and I'm going to love him. And he's going to guide me the right way. My parents told me not to do this and do this. And that, and when I talk about slapping in the face, and when I didn't follow what they asked me to do, I got slapped in the face. But I knew that they loved me because they were trying to make sure I followed the Lord's way in order to live. I'm going to give you, for instance, my mother told me at 12, 13 years old to stay in front of the house. It was hot. Not to play in front of the house. I could go downstairs, but I had to play in front of the house. My little girlfriend came over and said, Barbara, let's go to the beach. And we could walk to Oak Street Beach. And I went with her. And we got down there, and the beach was full of people, and we couldn't find no place to sit. So we went and sat on the side where they fished. And she said, oh, Barbara, we can swim. Let's jump in. And we jumped in. And I went down to the bottom. And when I came up to the top, I couldn't swim. I couldn't get started. So I went back down. I said, oh, my mama told me not to go. I better get up there and start swimming. And I got up there, and that's why I'm saying the Lord saved me. He slapped me in the face. And I got out of that thing and went home and was in front of the house. That was a very early experience
with God. So that's how you know him as Father.
I knew that the Lord was with me on my back then. And let me say this. That wasn't the only time through my 85 years that I've been slapped in the face.
Come on now.
And then I know that he sent Christ down here to save me, to forgive me for those sins and straighten my life out. That is why I don't fear the Lord. When I asked him to keep giving me the strength to meet the challenges as they come, give me strength to meet the challenge, which I know is going to possibly be death.
And you know what? When I'm hearing you, I hear what you're saying. You're saying like some people are afraid of God. Afraid. Ooh. But he asks us, he wants us to love him and reverence him and respect him. He wants us to respect him. And so I see what you're saying, because I remember growing up and people used to say, don't say that. You say, hello, how you doing? Don't say that. God's going to get you. Come on now. God is not the devil. God is not just getting us. He loves us. He wants us to be comfortable with him. But at the same time, he wants us to respect him. He wants him to recognize him as not only God, but it's our Father. Not only is our Father, but our friend. Now, so I understand what you're saying.
There's a passage that says, and my wife would say it often, with loving kindness have I drawn thee. And so we understand that Jesus came and has continued to draw us. And I'm tickled because now I understand I was going to have to try to clean it up. But I understand where she's coming from when she got smacked in the face. Her parents smacked her in the face. So she looks at God as that loving parent that does whatever's necessary to get your attention and tell you, look, don't go there. And you said something, and I reminded of the many times when most of my whippings came when I didn't obey what my parents told me to do.
Exactly.
And then you hear and you realize once you get into tight why they told you not to do it. Barbara, stay in front of this house, play out in front. But don't. Now, I bet when you went down that second time, you said, Lord, if I get up out of here, I'm going to go play in the front yard like Mama told me to do. Yeah, and sometimes we're so hard-headed that it takes a swat on the behind, a smack in the face, however it is, or whatever it takes to get your attention. But everybody don't want their attention taken.
They don't.
And I don't think I really realized those particular experiences until I got older.
They knew them to be such.
And I knew them to be the Lord helping me through this life, letting me know what to do. That's why I say there's been many times. But at 85, I realized that those were not just a coincidence that happened. Now I know that he's with me. And that's why I say in all the Bible studies and whatever, he's on my back all the time. He's leading me, he's guiding me.
Yeah.
He knows that I might go down the wrong road, that I need to be hit in the face and turn around.
Wow.
That's why I said, my husband says you have to fear the Lord. But I love the Lord.
Well, you're supposed to love him, and you're supposed to give him his just
The respect. And that's what and like you say.
The point is that he knows your heart.
Yes.
And we are constantly trying to throw him off.
Yeah.
Or get down with it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's like she keep talking about slapping. Well, when Paul asked God to remove this thorn he had in his side. And then Paul, he asked him, and then God told him why he wouldn't take the thorn out of his side. But then he said that the devil would always be around to slap him, to let him know. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. Yes. Is it by grace is sufficient?
Yes. Yeah. Wow. Well, one of our last questions. What does God mean to you? That's that's our last question. What does God mean to you?
I like
Your life.
Well, they say this great hope, this is when they're referring to your salvation, because either you did right to make it over the hump or you didn't do it. So that is your great hope, is salvation, which was created for you.
You know, I've enjoyed tonight. We haven't always had these kinds of conversations throughout the course of my life. But as I've gotten older, as life has interceded, and we realize God's love to turn us around, it is amazing to me that we're able to have these kind of conversations. Because one of the things that I'm getting from you, and as you all both were talking, I've been thinking about my mom and the conversations we would have. Even if you never pick up a Bible, God has a way of letting you know, one, who he is, and two, that he's with you, and that he is not impotent, but that he is rather omnipotent to help make positive changes to whatever situation you find yourself to be in. And so I am honored and glad.
Me too.
That in my 60 years, I'm able to share with my 90-year-old uncle, 91-year-old uncle, 85-year-old aunt, and have conversations about God, and not just things that's happening in the world, not even just religion, but how good God has been. I'm mindful of this, and then maybe turn over to you, and you all have the last word. And that is, Gran, your mom, when she was 100 years old, and we threw a birthday party for her, how she was able to celebrate her 100th with her son.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how many 100-year-olds can have a birthday party and their son be present? I mean, you don't find that situation happen. That's a blessed situation. And that lets you know how good God has been to not only you two, but your family.
And my mother-in-law was 104. And every year after her 100th birthday, we all shared it. Those 4 years after her 101st birthday. And she said to me, after her 104th birthday, the next day, she said, Barbara, I'm going and buy my own gown for my 105th birthday. You don't have to buy it.
Wow.
She was conscious of wanting to pick her own out.
Mm-hmm.
So she was looking forward to life. And you know, she had no pain.
That's awesome.
When she passed. Mm-hmm. She never had an illness, if you remember. She only had high blood pressure.
Yeah.
Wow. That was something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a blessing.
That's a
especially
blessing.
in the African American community.
Yes. And there were things that she did every day that may or may not be I guess. She lived with me in Leroy 10 years before her 100th birthday. So I watched everything and that helped me get to where I am. I watched how she lived life. The Lord knew that we are not perfect.
No.
But she showed me that she respects the Lord every minute of the day.
Mm-hmm.
She told me years when I lived when I married Leroy, we moved together with her, because he was her sole support at the time. My mother-in-law was only in her 40s when Leroy and I got married.
Mm-hmm.
So we lived with her for a year. So I learned everything, how to treat him and how to live her way. That was a blessing. Most people would not have had that opportunity.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So that helped
Mm-hmm.
through the 64 years that I've been with
Mary.
him. And I reflect back to that first day. Everything, cooking, the way we did our housework, all of that. And that's the way I raised my children. I think Iris, my oldest daughter. And no, I think all of them. I lost a son, but all 4 of the kids. When I look at them and see how strong they are, they've learned from me and from his mom and from my parents.
Wonderful.
So
that's awesome.
did I make a point there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's your. You
I
said
talk
close
so much.
No, you don't. What do you want to say?
That's a gift.
That's
right.
That's what I was going to say.
I made my living that way.
Yeah,
That's right.
well,
I raised my children to send them to school. I'm not apologizing for that.
That's right.
Leroy don't like it, but
So what do you want to say for
64.
your closing words? You have anything you want to say for the closing words?
Well, my closing remark would be from Teddy Roosevelt, President of the United States. He said, until you conquer the fear of death, then you can begin to live.
Oh, wow.
And that was as true as
That's true.
you don't fear.
and right now there is no fear of death in our country now for anything or anybody. So people are just let's just put it this way, that the Prince of the Air, right now he's in charge. All right. He uses religion. He uses sex. He uses misinformation. He uses whatever he can to drive a wedge between you and your beliefs are God.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and so if you slip off the path, it's going to take a lot of hauling to get you.
Now, I hope you all heard that and got it. There's a difference between being religious and having a relationship with God. Man thinks they're okay if they're religious. But you can be religious and know about God and not know God.
That's right.
And
That's
you can
right.
miss it.
That's
And
right.
that's what I got from what you just said.
Yes.
And that's a slippery slope
Yes.
that we all need to be mindful of. We need to have a
It's
relationship.
still with God.
Sometimes we need to get, if not slapped in the face, swatted on the behind, some kind of reminder to let us know that God wants fellowship, relationship with us. Without him, you can't stand 64 years together. You can't stand 27 years. We need God.
We need him.
And we ought to want him.
Yes.
And after coming through this pandemic, which we are still in, if anybody does not know him, it's only because they don't want to.
That's right.
It's only because they don't want to. So, what you got, man?
I
Yeah,
just wanna
because
say-
it stands today that any of us might fall by the wayside tonight with this virus that's going on.
If that virus, high blood, low blood, no blood,
cancer,
somebody's shooting you. I mean,
Yeah.
anything can happen.
Happen to
No
us.
day is promised.
Yeah, no day.
So the
You gotta
fact
be
that
ready.
come on now.
Got to be ready. Well, we want to thank you all so much. Thank you for having us here tonight. Thank you for giving us words of wisdom. Just thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being.
For the opportunity.
Oh, you
yes.
all are welcome. You're welcome. I'm so, it's a family affair.
You're right.
And it is good, and I know Jackie knows this too. We pray for our family. I don't want to see anybody in our family not make it. Thank God he's our family.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
So thank you
too.
all for
Thank
sharing
you
this.
for your-
Thank you.
Thank you for being who you are.
Thank
The
you.
two of you.
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
I mean that.
Yeah,
from my
it takes a belief in a spirit, because they were saying, talking about the spirit, if your faith isn't at work, then you are not doing the complete job.
May as well say.
So your faith has to be working.
But they say faith without works is.
It's dead.
That's right.
And so with that, I'm glad we ain't dead. Because there's still more work to be done.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And so we pray that you all were blessed with this.
I hope.
We'll have it up on the YouTube channel as well. So definitely reflect on it. Pass it on if you think that this is a blessing of others. But I know we've been blessed to to be able to share this time. Because what you don't know, he's physically challenged. But it's not just what you do. It's the spirit in which you do what you do.
That's right.
And the fact that he's able to tell the tale with a smile on his face and a smile in his spirit says a lot about how God has him in the hollow of his hand in spite of what he's going through. And so for that, we just say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ain't to be.
We love you all.
We
too.
love you all.
And we're so sorry at the beginning. We were told that there wasn't any sound, but we thank God for the person that called and said it. Thank you. And now we got the sound, so we want you to listen and pass it on.
Come on. With that said, love you. Check us out on Sunday. Reflect back on last Rev Kevin, Lady J on this past Thursday.
Yes.
And part 2 takes place this Sunday of setting the stage for you. That's what God is doing. With that, peace out. See you down the road next week.
You. Bye. Bye.